Hi, my name is Isabella Johnston, and today's tip of the week is about transparency and raising awareness. Your efforts to foster teamwork and cooperation between multi-generational employees requires participation from the team to be successful. Otherwise, employees are unaware of their biases. They'll work against your efforts. So everyone will be able to complete their tasks within the designated deadlines without generational differences getting in the way. It's essential to help employees understand the dynamics of being part of an age-diverse team. That means we welcome all ages. This ensures you make the most of your multi-generational workforce and, most importantly, highlight the value of focusing on project end goals instead of generational biases and differences.
Welcome to the Intern Whisperer. Our show is all about the future of work and innovation. And today's guest is Nye, who is the podcast host of Coffee Sips Tea. So welcome to the show. I'm really glad that you're here.
Thank you.
So I was on your podcast and that was a whole lot of fun. And I know that so I'm going to ask you, we always kick off our show with 5 words that you use that describe you. So I can help you out if you forget them. But what and why those 5 words? So why kindness? That was one of your words.
Kindness, because I'm striving to always, maintain kindness in everyone that you deal with. It's always good to be kind to others.
Yep.
Kindness is a major virtue.
Yeah, and I know that your show is also Christ-centered, so a lot of your words come straight from the Bible.
Oh yeah, kindness is very big because our Father, he has a lot of love and kindness towards us. He renews it every morning towards us, no matter what we do. And so it's good to do that for others because you just never know what they could be going through. You don't know where they are in life. And yeah, it's just always good to be kind. It's something that can always be appreciated all the way around. Be kind to yourself too and others.
Very true. It's just like grace. I always tell people, give as much grace as you ask for in your own life.
Yes.
So, and grace is even to me better than kindness.
Yes.
Okay, so you shared that your second word was patient.
Oh,
I don't know about you, but I know I used to pray for patience and I decided no, because when I ask for patience, I get a lot of trials. And so and I went, okay, I'm going to go, I'm good. I've got patience. I don't need any more trials. So what about you?
Oh yeah, patience is always a good virtue to have when you're dealing with things in life. And it does, like people have told me like, you're so patient. And yes, people do test your patience when they see that you tend to have a lot of it. And yes, trials, tribulations, you get tested in that area a lot if you do come off as a very patient person. And, it's good to have patience and also work on having boundaries as well, having healthy boundaries, so that others aren't trying to try your patience more than usual just because they feel like, okay, like this is someone I can just come to and just try to anger them or try to provoke them in some way. So patience is always good, and it's just kind of off a joy when you have diverse trials, that the trying of your faith could produce patience. So this is supposed to be a joyful thing, when you are being tried in this area and tested in this area. Like, it's so that you can endure to the end of your life, to the end of your journey.
I love those things.
Yes.
You mentioned your 4th one was tenacious. I love that word. To me, that's like what
I feel
an
like we
Olympian
skip it over
thinks.
something.
Oh, that's okay. We'll go back.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Tenacious.
So Yes, tenacious. It's good to always have tenacity when you are in situations. To me, that's just like being a bit cautious and just taking in all the events, all the details before you make a decision. It's trying to exercise wisdom in all areas of your life. And my big thing is like going into entrepreneurship. So you want to take your time. It's not going to happen overnight. So being tenacious is like really, really important.
You know, a lot of people, they think, oh, yeah, you mentioned entrepreneurship and that starting a
Hmm.
business, it happens overnight. I go, no, it's like 10 years. You know,
Yes.
think about Facebook. Like, how long did it take Facebook? Yeah, it caught on, but
Right.
it wasn't overnight that it became what it is now. Or pick any company, whether it's a car manufacturer, or Publix, your favorite grocery store, or whatever. You know, they start
Right.
small and it takes time to grow.
Yeah, a lot of the very successful businesses we see today, even online, they started in someone's house. And a lot of people probably laughed in their face. It's like, this will never take off. What are you doing? You should just get a regular job. And they were very tenacious in that aspect because they just kept going with what they believe they were meant to be. So now you have Amazon, it's a household name today,
Yeah.
and you have a lot of websites and a lot of businesses online. And it just started with an idea. So, yeah, it's always great to just keep going no matter what, and it will pay off in the end.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I can tell you, having a startup, a technology startup, is one of the hardest things I've ever done. So
Oh,
when you
yeah.
start a business, it is hard work. That's why they will tell us that it takes 2 to 3 years for a company to be able to break even
Yeah, and you're sometimes going without a paycheck for
for a
those first
while.
couple of years. Sometimes you're going without paying yourself, especially if you have
Mm-hmm.
employees and you're not even having money a lot of the time. So there's people that had to sleep in their car
Mm-hmm.
before they made it. And then when they become successful, it's like they remember like the very beginning stages. And I'm sure a lot of them are extremely grateful.
Mm-hmm.
And you may see them do a lot of acts of generosity and are being very kind because they remembered like the very beginning stages of their business.
Yeah, it makes for a really good startup story when you're
Oh,
looking at
yes.
the roots of this
Yes.
yeah, because you consider and go, yeah, this is what it took to get to this place, and it's really
Mm-hmm.
amazing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna go back to the other word, compassionate.
Oh, yes, compassionate. Very good to have compassion for others. When our creator looks at us, he is like a caregiver, right? So he
Mm-hmm.
has a lot of compassion for us. He does care very strongly for like where we are in our lives. What are our goals and our dreams? And what is it that we think about? What is our vision? And where is our heart? So when we have that heart posture towards others, we can extend that compassion and truly caring for their needs, where they are, what do you need in order to have your cup be filled today? How can we as people a part of your system or a part of your support system, how can we pour into you? What do you need right now? So it's always good to be able to extend that care and compassion for others in the way that our parents may have cared for us, or if they didn't, how our higher power cares for us every day.
Do you think there's a difference, because I do, between
Yes.
compassion and empathy?
They're tied in, but not 100% the same because you
Yeah.
can be empathetic and that includes compassion, but it doesn't always mean that you're empathetic if you're giving compassion to others, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because empathy is saying, I'm in your shoes right now. which is kind of different from having sympathy for others,
Yeah, well, and sympathy is very different from compassion too. So I did
Yeah,
like a
sympathy
real
is
quick
also
search
different
on
from
it. Yeah.
right. So it's kind of like you gotta know what each word is, like where you're really coming from with each word. Like people have told me that I demonstrate a high level of empathy. And it's hard too. You can't just go into the world be like, oh, I'm very empathetic. Cause it's like, but you're saying about yourself, you know? But
Hmm.
if people tell you that you're really empathetic, you can believe that. You can trust in that and say, oh gosh, really? Another thing, no one is truly born with empathy. We're kind of born as like a blank state, and we kind of are inclined towards being selfish. So this is something that you learn when you're a youngin, really. When you're a child, you learn how to be empathetic. So it's also important to exercise that empathetic muscle and know, like even like for instance, someone may come up to you and they may want or need something. This might inconvenience you in some way. But empathy is saying, even if this inconveniences me, I want to be here with this person and walk in their shoes. It
Yep.
means no matter what they're going through in life, you're right there with them. Sympathy is just saying, oh, I feel so sorry for you. You know, I
Yeah.
really pity you. But empathy says, I'm staying with you until we can work this out.
Yeah, and compassion, I did a little search
Mm-hmm.
real quick, and it says compassion is taking those feelings and then doing an inclusion of
Mm-hmm.
offering to help. Like when you walk by
Yes.
somebody that's homeless on the street and they say, hey, do you
Mm-hmm.
have any money? And you say, yeah, let's go inside and I'll buy you something to eat. Instead of just
Right.
giving them money, you can actually feed them.
Exactly. So that's why I say like compassion and empathy, they're really tied into each other. But empathy is like, I really am in your shoes right now. You
Hmm.
know, I can understand what it means to be homeless because I feel it. I feel what you're feeling. And then that moves you to act. Like Jesus. Jesus didn't just give, he didn't just say, oh, I feel sorry for you, or I'll just pray for you. He went one step further. He wanted to walk a mile in their shoes. So if you were struggling with prostitution, if you were struggling with sin, he was there with you every step of the way, you know, and he truly believed in healing. He could feel like what they were feeling. He was moved to tears sometimes when his friend Lazarus passed away. He was crying, and then he brought him back into life again. So that's kind of what it is when you are being compassionate to someone. You want to uplift them enough to where they can live again. You're saying, like, I see you. I truly see into you and see what you're going through. And I'm not here to judge you where you are. I'm meeting you exactly where you are in your life right now. And I'm extending true compassion and a true offer to truly help you and walk in this, as you said, a homeless person. I will walk in the store with you, pick up anything that you want, no matter what it is, and you don't worry about it. It's paid for.
Hmm. Yeah. Takes a
Mm-hmm.
lot. I've done that also, with some of the people because I work downtown in Orlando, and I can tell you
Yeah.
that there's definitely a large population here. And many times
Oh,
I
yeah.
was told this that the states where it gets really cold,
Mm-hmm.
they'll put them on a bus and send them down here so that
Mm-hmm.
they, end up not freezing or,
Mm-hmm.
the death toll is not so high of the homeless.
Oh, yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah, it takes a lot to be able to extend hospitality to someone because you truly care for them and you will put them up in like a nice hotel so that like during the pandemic, a lot of communities, they said you can live in the hotel for this time instead of living on the street because we didn't know what was going to happen or what could possibly go wrong. So that was, exemplifying compassion. That was compassion in motion, when neighbors poured in to other people in their home and say, hey, you may be elderly. How can we get groceries for you? Even though you're in your home and you may not be able to get out during the lockdown. A lot of neighbors, they took holiday lights and they strung them up from one end of the block to the other. Right? So everybody became a community and they poured in love and support to each other. So that was compassion in motion, saying, hey, you're a resilient person and don't feel like you're alone, because we're all going through this thing together. So everybody drew strength and empowerment from one another. And I want to believe that at the center of that was God in motion. That's love in motion, saying that even though you may be a stranger to me, we all have that shared human connection, and we can all help each other out. If you want that support, you don't have to feel like you're alone. Someone genuinely does care for you.
Always good to remember that.
Yes.
So your last word is friendly. So why friendly?
Oh yes, it's so important. A smile goes a long way to me. That just said, just smile. It's interesting when people are like, yeah, nice. She's always smiling. She's always happy. It's a lot of strength that you draw from happiness. The joy of the Lord is our strength, right? So it's very strengthening just to be at peace of mind. It doesn't mean that you don't experience hardship, right? It doesn't mean that you don't go through trials, as we talked about, as we mentioned. It just means, like, while you're going through these things, you can still choose to be happy. You can still choose to operate in joy. You can still choose to rejoice and be friendly to other people. Be friendly with others. It's always nice to be available for friendship, and being a true, sincere friend to someone is treating them how you would want to be treated. So you honor the accomplishments of your friends. You celebrate them. Right? And you're just there whenever someone needs a call. They're like, hey, I got a new promotion at my job. Girl, good for you. I'm so happy to hear you got that job promotion. We knew how much that promotion meant to you. We know how much you were crying about it. It means someone is able to be vulnerable with you, and you don't take those things and talk about it behind their backs. Yeah. It's amazing to be able to have a friendship that lasts 20 years, 30 years. If you have a friend in your life, I'm always encouraging others. Let them know how much they mean to you. Say, hi, beautiful. Just wanted to tell you you're loved today, and I'm so honored to have you as a friend. It doesn't mean just because you have bad times, it doesn't mean that you are going to be abandoned. It doesn't mean that you abandon your friends. It's always good to have some surrounding friends. This is your support system.
It is.
Yeah, and
friends are sometimes just one time. Sometimes they're always for a reason.
Sometimes they're for a season or a reason or a lifetime.
Or a life. Yep. Yep. We obviously read the same quotes.
Oh yes, we're very similar.
Yeah, definitely have that in common there. So
go ahead. I just wanted to say too, I'm just so amazed at what you do for the visual community, for the visually impaired, and for those that are hearing impaired. And you were just kind of reading my language when you told me, like, yes, I interviewed someone and he also has autism, and you booked the appointment with his mother, and that really sent me, like, I can tell, like, you do make an effort, a genuine effort, to care for all, and that's what true inclusivity is, that
Yeah.
everyone has a voice on your show.
Yeah, that's really important
Mhm.
to me. That's for sure. And thank you for bringing
Yeah,
that up. So
yeah.
today's show that dropped, just so our listeners know, and
Mhm,
viewers, is Sam Mitchell, Sam and Gina Mitchell. That's the young man that has autism, and he's
mhm.
done a TEDx talk. He has his whole
Wow.
podcast about autism and about, like breaking those stigmas that are out there that people have. And then his
Mhm,
mom helps him manage it. He set his business up as a nonprofit and he does
mhm,
public speaking. He was interesting for sure.
mhm.
Yeah, and his mom. Anyway, but thank you for bringing that one up. We've had another
Yes.
gentleman too that has neurodiverse, which is another term for autism. And his
Okay,
name is Jeremy Gottschalk. And he
okay.
was on previously, and he talked about it also. And he has a fraternal twin,
Mhm.
and it was a really good show. So, where did you go to
Yeah.
school? And when we talk about school, we usually mean like college. We've had a lot of people that haven't gone to college, and I always
Mhm.
like that type of transparency because not everybody
Yeah,
has to do college. So, feel free,
that's
pick it
true.
up from wherever.
Yeah, I'm a bit camera shy, so bear with me. But going to school is not for everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I almost wish that I didn't. Unfortunately, I did go to school. I went to college and then I continued on in a higher education, and I actually studied in higher educational IO psychology, which is industrial organizational
Mm-hmm.
psychology. And my whole thing is college is not for everyone, but I'm
It's
always
true.
encouraging people to at least give it a shot, because it's more than just learning about books and textbooks. It's an entire experience. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things that you experience in college that does kind of prepare you for real life. There's a connections you make. You learn so much about yourself in college.
It's about getting more socialized and
Yes.
kind of breaking away from the high school mentality where,
Mhm.
friends are everything. When you get into
Yeah.
college, you realize, oh, it's a bigger world. And then it helps to prepare you for that for sure.
Yes, that's true. There's like so much things going on in college. Like you meet so many people. You can't tell me the amount of time staying up late at night, just talking to my good friends, my girlfriends, and we would just talk about everything, like current events. We would talk about plays, about books that we've read, different movies. Like we were just our own little bubble, and anyone was free to come and share their opinions. So I love how like how opinionated people were um in college, and how that was a big thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't about, and the time that I went, like political correctness wasn't really a thing. And it's really important to just surround yourself with different opinions, and that's true diversity to me. It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
you get to just hear like what they think on this, what people think on that, and just kind of develop like what your own mission statements are going to be, what your own vision is going to be. And this is from the people that are closest to you. They're also developing who you are as an
Mm-hmm.
individual, and you're also pouring into them. You're developing who they are, and it's good to just have that positive experience in college. Mine was pretty positive. So for
Where'd you
anyone who
go?
didn't, yes, for anyone
Well,
who didn't, my apologies for you, but it does get better. And it can be a really positive one. And then also, if you realize that college is not right for you, it's not a good fit, it's always okay to dip out. A
yeah,
lot of people are successful today and they don't have a college degree. So
very true. Where
yes.
did you go to college? What's the name of the school?
Should I say this? Should I say this
Oh, yeah,
on
you can say it. Yeah.
on this show?
Where? Yeah, I'm
I went.
actually at University of Central Florida. This is one of their
Okay,
group rooms, and this is the
nice.
campus in the background behind me. So I wanted a new
That's
place to sit and have the show, so I came here.
that's nice. I like that the campus lets you come on there and shoot your podcast there. That's
Yeah,
really
yeah. And the yellow helps a
forgive
lot.
me.
It's a nice energy color.
Yellow is gorgeous. This room is nice, and the little background, it's working. You're
Yeah, it
working
is.
it.
Yeah,
The
I chose that
changing
on
screen in the back.
person. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I came
Very.
in. Yeah, yeah. University of Central Florida is one of the colleges where
Mhm.
students come and they get matched to employers. So this is, I have 5,000 schools that I work with. So we want to say college names. We want them
Right.
to come on and send their students over to
Mm.
our platform and sign up. So yeah, we're all for college names for sure.
Ooh, Jesus. Okay, I'm gonna say it. UB.
Okay.
But don't come for me. Go Bulls.
All right.
Not
I don't know what
sponsored.
UB is.
Okay, good.
Okay. Um,
They're a tiny
so
little school in
that's
upstate New
okay.
York.
I
Okay.
graduated from a tiny school here. It's Rollins College. That's my
Mhm.
school. And
Mhm.
it's a liberal studies and it has a small number, but it's like a little mini Harvard, honestly. And when I visited Harvard University, I went, holy cow, this is like my school. And I went, I
Mhm.
see where they took it from. Anyway, it's all good.
It's
So, how did you go from OD? Did you take that into a career for yourself? What has your journey been like since school to where you are now?
that's such a good question. So, wow. I mean, I graduated from school maybe a little more than a decade ago, I want to say. And
Hmm.
it's been quite a journey
It never
because
stops.
it doesn't ever really stop. And you never really truly stop learning. And you never really truly stop developing as a person, as a human being. It's just it's a complete process, if you will. So the college started me off on the right foot. My mindset at that time was just, I'm gonna do whatever, you
Hmm.
know. It was supposed to be the straightforward uh transition into whatever. I'm supposed to be pretty much a working professional.
Hmm.
And my whole mindset was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be connected with a top tier um professional workplace, have my own office, just very ambitious, if you will.
Hmm.
And then a shift happened when it was like, okay, but is the ambition for me, or is this truly about helping others? And so that's kind of where I'm at today. It's not so much just about being ambitious and feeling like this powerful um, working professional and putting up all my degrees, on the wall behind me. Like I've been there. I've done that.
Hmm. Well,
Right.
you know
So,
what? That
uh-huh.
can inspire other people because honestly, when
Mhm.
we have to work hard to earn degrees, and that can
We
be
do.
something where someone else can see you and go, "Hey, I am just like her." And look, she did that, so I bet I can do that. And when you're put into a position of power, it doesn't
Mhm.
mean that it's all about you. No, you have the opportunity to be able to take that gift of being in a leadership role to make a difference and share
Yeah.
that with other people, which is, I'm going to use the word inspire. I've said it 3 times, but
Okay.
it is
Inspire.
definitely something that makes a difference in other people. So I think I'm reframing it,
Yeah.
if you will, so that you
Mhm.
might think about, well, you made that investment in college, and if you have the degree, you can always use that as something that you can give back to other people. Because in OD, and I'm in the OD space,
Oh,
it's always
nice.
about measuring outcomes and being able to bring significant change and impact in the community.
Mhm.
It's a heavy responsibility, but
It
if
is.
God gives you that, then you're called to go out there and be able to help
Yeah.
change lives.
And that's great. And it's so important not to lead off, just to jump on what you just said. It's so important not to lead off with my college education. It's
Hmm.
always important to lead off. Like, I like how you asked me, like, what are my 5 attributes that I use to describe myself? So if you lead off with that first, and then as the conversation develops, then it's kind of just a polite, okay, where did you go to school? Oh, great. Like, I went there too. But if you're just leading off with, like, I'm college educated and here are my degrees and here is all the things that I've accomplished, that doesn't really tell anyone much about that individual except that they have a college education. But what's really important are the attributes that they have. Like, how do they treat other people? What can other people say about them if you ask? What are where have they been to? In what ways, have they used their education? And my mindset was so different from the mindset that you see in me today, because it's more important to me now than being a major professional, someone of academia. It's more important to me now to really see, like, how people are living. And a lot of people are struggling with financial insecurity. Many people are struggling with food insecurity. And in order to help those, I need to start getting into my community and really engaging with others. Like, it's so basically I'm saying, like, I want to come out of the office mentality and really connect with other people. And if that for me means getting a college education, that's okay. And what else? You have a college education. What else after that? What The story doesn't end there. The story is only just beginning.
Hmm.
So, right? So college education, it's a really nice springboard into what you're going to do with it. And prayerfully, we're using our college education and our background experience in order to engage with our community and see how we can really support others in the community. Because some people have this gift, some people may have that gift, and you may not even need a college education to do some of the things that are placed in your heart to do.
Hmm. Well,
Yeah,
but you always have to take care of yourself also, and whatever your family
absolutely.
is. My mother
Hmm.
graduated high school. Was extremely well read, and she could hold a really good conversation with anybody, no matter what their degree is. So what I'm
Hmm.
hearing is that when you're talking about that, I know a lot of people that don't have a college degree, and
Oh yeah.
they're solid. So the
Yeah.
degree doesn't mean anything other than how hard you work in some area that you're wanting to get into, because some
Hmm.
things, whether it's medicine or law or, a teacher, there's, things that you have to have a degree for. But many
Yeah.
times for other professions, whether it's marketing or even podcasting, you don't have to go to school for that. You can learn a
Right.
lot of that stuff right off of the internet. Internet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. True.
So, over here, what's the name of your podcast and how do people find it? And let's talk about that because I
Let's
was a
talk
guest
about
on uh,
podcasting.
yeah, I was a guest
Okay,
on
so
yours.
that you just came on mine. Did you get to hear your episode?
I did.
Did you hear your epi? It
Yep,
was so good, wasn't it?
it was good. But tell our
Oh,
guests, what's the name of your
then
podcast?
okay, the name of the podcast is Coffee Sips Tea. I almost forgot my own show. And
Mm-hmm.
on the podcast, it's a faith-based, Christ-centered show. It gets into real conversations. So we sip and spill tea about everything faith-based. And it's just really friendly, real convo over a nice cup of coffee or tea
Mm-hmm.
or water. She didn't have any coffee or tea, y'all, when she came on my show. She was like, I drink spa water. And I was like, okay, girl,
Yep.
get your spa water.
Throw a
And that's
little
that's
lemon
really
in it or
healthy too.
lime. It's all good.
Yeah, like you can get some nice cut up fruit, put it in your water. It's so refreshing.
Cucumbers.
It makes a world of difference.
Hmm. So how did
Mm-hmm.
you pick that name, Coffee Sips Tea, and why?
Yeah, because at that time I had a Facebook handle, Coffee Olay, and it's still active, right? And so some people would just call me Coffee. So I'm like, okay, like no one wants to call me by my actual name. Nice. So I was like, well, that would just be my host name. Call me Coffee. And I do love tea. I don't like coffee. So that's kind of a play on words a bit. So it's weird because my name is Coffee, call me Coffee, but I don't even really like coffee.
Hmm.
So I'm sipping on tea. So coffee sips tea. And that's also like a word that people use too when they're like they're spilling tea, like let's sip tea, like let's talk, let's chat. So
Hmm.
it's interesting too. Like we get to just chat and talk and sip our tea and talk about things that's related to the word of God and just putting that angle on it, just giving it that kingdom twist on everything going on in the world today, whether it's starting your career or just, hey, I just want to talk to someone, or you're just going through things trying to get your finances together. So people can have a takeaway from my show, and it's regardless of wherever you are in your faith journey, all faiths are welcome to the show. I've talked to people that are atheists. I've talked to people that are agnostic. I've talked to any and everyone, and somebody can have a takeaway from this show. It's a really nice small community. They're called the Lovely Lattes, and we probably have about maybe 2,000 people that have listened, over 2,000 listens, and to me that is a small number to me, and that's kind of the feel that I want it to have, like as it grows, that it just has that really nice community feeling, and everyone can just maybe get a little sip, a little shot of espresso, and then just keep it moving, get on with their day. So that's where the show concept came from, and it's nice. It's really nice. It's been growing over 2 years. Almost didn't get released. Had it not
Hmm.
been for going to Podfest and talking to some ladies there, they were like, "Why not? Just put it out into the atmosphere and see what happens." And they really impacted me today. Shout out to Podfest.
Yes, we love Podfest. And Chris
Yes.
Krimitsos and all of his team, yes, they're awesome. Andrew Weiss. So we love
Mm-hmm.
Podfest people.
Chris Comento, he's everything, isn't he?
Yeah.
And that was the first year that I went there, was in 2020. They gave me some free tickets, and I was like, why not? Like, I don't got nothing else to do. So
Mm.
I went to the Pie Fest, and he gave us all this book, his own book called Start Ugly. And that really was very inspirational, if you will.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
just start however you are, wherever you are in life, and just start. Even if it's not really well produced, even if you don't feel like you have anything to say, everyone has a voice and
Hmm.
everyone has something to say. Why not use it?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
He absolutely does say that. He's been a guest on my
Hmm.
show also. I always love Chris.
He's
Mm.
awesome.
He is
That
awesome.
is
Yeah.
so cool that he's been on your show. What
Yeah,
was
he
that
has.
like?
Oh gosh, we talked about what the future of podcasting is going to look like, and his insight is really. Hope you go and listen to it. I don't know the season. I think it's season 3, and I don't know the episode number. But look for
Hmm.
Chris Krimitsos, and we talked about how how the thoughts are that there will be more things that are going to be embedded in us, to be
Hmm.
able to watch, like through like a lens in our eyes, or being able to have things embedded in our brains. I think personally,
Hmm.
yes, Terminator is real, so Matrix is real. So
What? Well,
yeah,
what now?
yeah, you have to go listen to the episode for sure.
What are we having embedded in what?
Oh, different little robotic things, things that would be there to help us see things or be able to do things differently.
I say no to that in the
I
name of Jesus.
agree. I
Just sound like
agree.
Mark of the Beast, y'all.
Mm.
Having implants. We say no bueno.
Well, when you carry around a phone, it listens to you all the time, and there will be a time when these things, people are looking at how it can be a part of us. So, you get
See,
addicted to
that's
the phones.
right. And that's the thing. Like, technology is supposed to enhance communication. But if we're like overly reliant on it, it cannot replace communication. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm praying that it doesn't get to that point. Because if we're like overly reliant on technology, then where does that leave us? It
Mm-hmm.
does seem like Terminator's coming to pass a bit, and even the Matrix.
Yeah. I think a
Yeah.
lot of science fiction movies, I talk about this on my show, that I think that a lot of science fiction shows do demonstrate or show us what could be. If we're not
Mm-hmm.
paying attention, we should be paying attention to what we
Yeah.
want to see happen in the future, for sure.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, okay, so what are your plans for your show?
So my plans for the show, just keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, do you
And
have any big guests that you want to feature or have come on?
oh, it's you know what? If I did interview Rihanna, that would be cool.
Oh, that would be so cool.
As I always joke on my show, I'm like, she's a cousin in my head.
Mm.
That's family to me in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
want to ask her like about Fenty Beauty and just like that whole thing. That's just so amazing to me that she's now billionaire status today. So shout out to Queen Riri.
Yeah. I had this
Much
woman
love.
named Jane Oates on my show, and she
Mm-hmm.
served in President Obama's cabinet also. Well, not cabinet, but in
Nice.
his administration. And she
Mm-hmm.
oversees the workforce initiative. She's with a company called Workforce Nation. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm going to go look it up while we're talking.
Okay.
And she had a lot of insight about what the future of work would look like. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say she's somebody that's definitely Working Nation. That's the name of the company that she's with.
Working Nation.
But she was pretty interesting, and I always look to have some people that have following. You know who I'd like to have is David Letterman. I love his
Ooh, that's a
shows.
good one.
Yeah, he's really good. I like his talk shows a lot, and I went, oh, that'd be so cool to have him.
Mm.
Mm,
What would you want
yes.
to know about him?
I would want to know more about things. He's talked about like what it's like when he's been growing up, but I
Mm-hmm.
would want to know more about just growing up, and he's talked about some of his. He's been really open about addictions with alcohol and other substances. So I feel
Yes.
like he's talked about that, and he's a very humble man, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
like the fact that he has had the most interesting interviews with so many people. I'd like to know who he thinks was some of his top five that he would enjoy. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I would do probably a lot more research on him so I could find some things that maybe he hasn't talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's
we need to take a quick break because time has been slipping by. So we want to acknowledge Cat 5 Studios and thank you for being our sponsor.
The Intern Whisperer is brought to you by Cat 5 Studios, who help you create games and videos for your training and marketing needs that are out of this world. Visit Cat 5 Studios for more information to learn how Cat 5 Studios can help your business. Thank you, Cat 5 Studios.
And we are back to our show. Gosh, we haven't even talked about the future of, but this has been a really good conversation. So I'm going to ask you some simple questions, and we're going to keep them short so we can throw in some of our future of questions. What can you whip up with 4 ingredients like on Chopped? Now, this one I didn't tell you about. So any 4 ingredients that you would have in your kitchen, like I would say omelets for me. I sit here and go, yeah,
um
you have eggs, cheese, whatever veggies you have
like
left,
it doesn't
boom.
have to be edible or it could be
No, it
any
has to
form.
be edible. Of course it does.
Oh, it
But,
has to be. Oh, it's like a
yeah.
food because I was thinking like, man, I love whipping up shea butters, but that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
Um, so 4 ingredients.
What
You
four
know what?
ingredients would you have and you could say, yes, this is great?
It's something that I think is great. So I just learned how to make kimchi,
Ooh,
and I love, 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 love kimchi. And all
that's
you need,
cabbage, right?
yeah, all you need is cabbage. You can just get it from your local grocery. And I use both of them. I use the Asian one, I forget what it's called, and then I use like the regular one.
Well, how do
And
you
then you
make it?
just
What do you have to have?
you have to ferment it. Like you just
In
need
what?
water. You just need water, some flour, some salt, and cabbage. And
And
that's
you
like a
don't
really
put
basic.
vinegar on it?
You can. You can use vinegar.
You mean the
It
cabbage
ferments
ferments
over
itself?
time. What was that, ma'am?
Wow. The cabbage ferments itself?
Yeah, you can ferment it. You can pour, so you use like water, you can use like water flour, and then you can use a little sea salt just to kind of draw the stuff out of the cabbage. I forgot how you make it, but like a really basic recipe. All you need water, cabbage, some you can use red pepper flakes if you don't have the actual
Mm.
paste, and you can just kind of go from there. Use
Hmm.
hot sauce. You can pour vinegar on it too, just to kind of start the fermentation. And then it just ferments and it doesn't go bad. And you
Hmm.
can just keep using that thing. So I hope nobody in the Korean community comes for me. Don't come for me, but I love your kimchi. Okay. I love it. It's so
I think
good.
it's all good. It's all good. Okay,
Yes.
next question. Who in
Mhm.
your life has had the biggest impact on your life and how?
Mm. Chris Kremitos. Am I saying his name right?
Krimitsos, yeah.
Krimitsos. Okay. Chris Krimitsos. Thank you
Yeah.
for thank you so much for those tickets to your conference, the Podfest. I've met so many people there. So he had like the biggest influence in me starting the podcast, Coffee Sips Tea. That changed my life because if it wasn't for Podfest, that show probably would have never went live. Like I'm not good with public speaking or being on cameras or hearing my voice. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Cool. What
Yes.
are you most grateful for?
The most grateful for
What are
is
you most grateful? Hmm.
I'm most grateful for being in the land of the living, believe it or not. Like another day of life, just to be here, it's
Hmm.
amazing. It's powerful.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So, what do you think about COVID? We're going to flip over to the second half
We're
of our show
flipping.
super fast. So,
Okay.
we talk usually about what jobs and industries would look like in 2030, which is not that
Hmm.
far. That's only 8 years
Right.
away. So, COVID, these past 2 years, has had a big eye-opening experience for everybody in the workplace. We all saw that, oh, we really could work remotely. Oh, you could go to school remotely. You can go to church remotely. You can do just about everything remotely, but yet we're made for relationships. So, COVID, the
Right.
impact on business. Podcasting, I think it did well. What do you think?
Yeah, podcasting definitely thrive. We have over 2 million podcasts that are live right now. And everyone has a podcast. It's like, if you don't have a podcast, it's like, who are you?
Yeah,
Really?
it's
You
kind of like
know?
before when it was like blogs. Oh, start a blog when blogs
Yeah,
were
start
like
a
new.
blog. So podcasting is like what blogs were to people in the early 2000s.
Hmm.
Podcasting could be the future. And what's awesome about podcasting is like you can do whatever you want about it. You can talk about whatever topic and whatever segments you want. Like it really is your personal creation. So podcasting is just going to at this point it's going to be even more powerful for people who are creatives and who are artists. Like keep on creating what we're meant to do.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
what's interesting about that is that we're not regulated like TV and other radio
Mhm.
shows. So I feel
It's
like,
true.
there's this place where we're very fortunate. You're right, people
Mhm.
can start any topic and do whatever they want. In 2030, I feel like it's still going to be very, very strong. I believe that there's a bigger advantage to being on video because people like to see things and see people. And as we move into augmented reality and virtual reality, there's going to be a blend between that to make it more realistic for the customer or the user, viewer, whatever that you want to call them, to make it more relatable and something that they can do. So stay tuned for that. I know that that's part of why Instagram, they created those filters, and that's, I read this article about how that's a somewhat of augmented reality because they're changing how we look. It's also some of the things that people don't realize is they were using that as part of the facial recognition to be able to, there's always something.
It sounds like Terminator all over again.
There's always like something that can be kind of dark that we have to be aware of, but a lot of the faces, they collect the faces and then it becomes part of the bank, if you will, that's out there. Yeah. Yeah. Even with Duolingo, like I use Duolingo and I've really enhanced my ability to speak in Spanish. I can't do it right now. I'm not like, I'm not 100% fluent in that
¿Cómo
area.
te va?
Yeah. Where am I going? How am I going? How am I doing? Is that what you're asking?
How are you? How are you doing, beautiful?
Oh, okay. I thought it was como estás. I thought was to go.
How's it going? How is it going?
Okay. Yeah, it's going well. Bien.
Okay.
There's my word, my Spanish word, bien.
You know what's funny about language? Like when you learn it in school, we learn it like the formal way.
Right.
And it's like no one speaks it like that. I mean, you can say como estás, of course. Like there's nothing wrong with that. It's just interesting, like the stuff that we learn in school, they'll be like, ¿qué? Like, no entiendo.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, it only says I'm 15% proficient, and I'm going, okay, but that was better than 0, so
that's
I'll
better
take it.
than 0. You probably are more proficient in a lot. You believe it or not. Do you feel like you could have a conversation with someone in Spanish?
I can yes, I feel like I can as long as I can have access to words that I don't know how to say. But my vocabulary is limited. I like that Duolingo has gamified that approach to make the world more accessible and feel like we can talk to each other. So I find that really a good thing, really a good thing. But they also asked if they wanted, if I would give permission to record my the courses that they could. When you speak into the app, you're saying it and they would record it to improve the quality of it. And I go, yeah, I know there's that one side to it, but I also know there's another side that I don't know. So I want to know both sides before I make that decision. Yeah. Anyway, we got off track. Remote, blended, on-site, and flexible work. I feel like there's going to be a place where people will want to go back and have the hybrid. I think that because we're social creatures, we're made for relationship, that they're going to want to have the option to be able to go back in. What do you think?
Agree with that.
Yeah. I think for those people that are introverted and that get more anxious with being around a lot of people, it can harm them, though. It can make it even harder for them to be able to be relatable. And so it's good to get out in social settings, even if it's just, once a week. That's good. Okay, next question. We're just like breezing through all of our questions here. Best mentoring advice that you would share with our listeners?
The best mentoring advice that people have given me or to give to others?
It doesn't matter. It can be what you would pass on or something that somebody's told you that is now yours that you follow.
Something that I've followed is just keeping God first. And if you don't believe in God, whatever are your core things that you feel really strongly about, what are your your core belief system, what you value the most, and what is your personal truth in life. Keep that first, and everything else will be added onto you. For me, it's God, it's faith. So keeping Him first, as it says in the Word in Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and everything else will be added onto you. So that's the only thing that I'll tell others. Just keep the faith, man.
There you go.
Keep the faith.
So how can people reach you? What is your website? What social channels are you using where people can find you?
I'm on Twitter, also known as Twitter, at Hot Sessions 123. You can also go on Facebook, or Book of Faces, as we call it on my show. And my handle, so I have 2 handles. You can connect with me on Coffee Olay, or you can go to my other handle, Honey99. And
how do you spell Coffee Olay? Is it with a C or a K?
That's a good question. That's probably I love when people ask that. It's K. It's a K. Coffee with a K.
Okay, so it's Koffeee. I mean 2 E's.
2 E's.
Olay.
Aulait.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, some people call me Coffee. Some people call me Honey. I'm the honey latte in charge, baby. Okay. Don't y'all forget it.
So good. Well, it's been wonderful having you on the show.
Yes.
You definitely have made some laughs. We're going to have to tag Chris and let him know that he's supposed to be tuning in on this show. And I want to thank you.
Nice. Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
This was a really good interview. Thank you so much for having me on the Intern Whisperer. And I hope everyone has a really beautiful week wherever you are in life. Just keep the faith.
So we want to thank our sponsor, Cat 5 Studios, and thank you to our production team, Ayana Saunders, and our new incoming video interns. We haven't met them yet, but we're excited to announce them. The music is by Sophie Lloyd. And if you would like to have your inclusion tip of the week shared on our show, be sure to record it. Send your audio file to info@e4c.tech and include your name, your job role, and where you work. We will email you with our intern pursuit game green screens for your next video conference call. And be sure to visit employers4change at www.e4c.tech to learn how you can create real diversity and inclusion while skilling your people for the future. Thank you for supporting the Intern Whisperer by subscribing to our show on Podbean or your favorite podcast channel.